This is the Board of Trustees' regular meeting. Today's date is October 26, 2021. It is 9 a.m. We are meeting in the Village Auditorium. Roll call, please.
Mayor Vorderer.
Present.
Trustee Desmond.
Here.
Trustee Sock.
Here.
Trustee Pembroke.
Here.
Trustee Mallow.
Here.
Trustee Stalker.
Here.
Trustee Olenichek.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. All right. Veteran salute, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, in liberty and justice for all. Cheers. Madam Clerk, do we have any public comments?
We do. The first is Dean.
Dean? Please step up to the podium. Introduce yourself, and do you live in Oak Lawn?
Good morning, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Dean T. Marigus of the law firm of Marigus & Marigus. I'm here on behalf of the applicant Global Liquor LLC to answer any questions that the board may have and to vote for approval of the Class E liquor license. And I myself at the disposal. I do not live in Oak Lawn. I live in...
Thank you. If we have any questions, the board will ask them when an agenda item comes up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Okay.
President.
Next is Ann Walsh.
Good morning, Mrs. Walsh. Are you an Oak Lawn resident?
I am not.
Okay.
I'm from Walsh Service Station, and we are D on this information sheet.
Okay.
And my son, my husband, and I are here if you need any answers to any questions for our special use permit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brian? Same comment? Okay.
Okay.
Michael Witt?
Good morning. I'm here on behalf of my son, who was involved in a off-duty accident. He's a major for the Illinois State Police. It happened 14 months ago this Friday. He's still in critical care. There's no hope for him getting any better. He's quadriplegic. He's got full mental capabilities, thank God. But we're going to have to put an addition on the back of his house that will be a hospital room with the overhead lifting capabilities and a handicap washroom. And he's going to have 24-hour care 7 days a week. So I gave you a handout here, and I just hope that you can see clear to give me the authorization. We're violating your Coverage Act, and we're going to take out some concrete and some pavers to get a little closer to your requirements. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm sorry for your son's injury, and thank him for his service to America and to the state of Illinois. Yeah. Again, thank you. Claire, anybody else?
Yes. Ali Lodi? Sorry if I'm mispronouncing anyone's names.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Morning.
I am and my wife and some other residents are here for the Mercy Cultural permit to issue a Mercy Cultural Center permit.
Well, thank you. It's on the agenda, and any questions that trustees may have or their approval or disapproval will come up at that time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Claire?
Ali Matari?
Good morning, sir. I'm here on behalf of the Mercy Cultural Center. Again, if you have any questions or any comments, I will be here. I am a resident of Oak Lawn, and I'm here to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Okay. And Muhammad Ershad?
good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yeah, I came for the Mercy Community Center. Yeah, so we need the service of this community center. So please, kindly, it is humbly requested to issue us a permit, please.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is all the public
Okay,
comments.
thank you. All right, number 4 on the agenda is a conflict of interest disclosure. Anybody on this board have any conflict with any issues that we will be voting on today? Hearing none, we will move on to number 5, the Village of Oaklawn 2020 Financial Audit Presentation, presented by Joe Lightcap. Joe?
Mr. President, Board, thank you for having me this morning, and thank you for using Baker Tilly as your auditing firm. This was our first year doing the audit of the village. And first off, I'd like to thank the Finance Department for their help conducting the audit. Especially in the first year, we ask a lot of questions, we ask for a lot of supporting documentation, and the Finance Department was a great partner in helping us through our objectives to complete the audit. So this was the 12/31/2020 financial audit, and while we were here later than we would like in 21, later than you would like, we built a good foundation for in fiscal year 20 to go forward to deliver the financial statements in a more timely manner going forward. I have 2 reports that I'll go over today. I think you were handed them before this meeting. The bigger bound report is the comprehensive annual financial report, and the smaller report that accompanied it was the audit results communication. I'm going to be going over at a very high level, pointing out to various points of the report. If you have any questions, feel free to stop me at any time. Of course, if you see anything that we talk about and you see anything at a future time, we'll be going over my contact information in a little bit. So I'm going to start with the comprehensive annual financial report. As the name suggests, this is the bigger document. As the name suggests, the comprehensive document, it has more information than is required by accounting standards. It gives you some good narratives on the village and the policies, and also in the back of the document, there's some good 10-year trend information, so you can see how the village has done over the last 10 years in a variety of categories. The first part of the report I want to go over is page 1 of the big report. This is the independent auditor's report. This year we issued a clean or unmodified opinion on the village's financial statement. It's the highest level of assurance you can obtain from your outside auditors, and states that everything's reasonable in all material respects and can be reasonably relied upon by an outside user of the financial statement. On page 2, the second page of the opinion, wanted to point out that there's an emphasis of a matter paragraph this year, and this is for the adoption of GASB 84 for fiduciary activities. So if you were to look at last year's report, there was what was called an agency fund for the revolving escrow fund. This is now required to be reported within the general fund. So a little bit different presentation than what was done in the prior year, but it resulted in a restatement of beginning fund balance in the general fund. Page 4 is the management's discussion and analysis. This is where I would tell you to go back to if you haven't had a chance to look at the report yet. This is the part that I would go back to and look at. This is the narrative written by management. It's a comparison of the current year to the prior year. Gives you a good explanation for what happened, why accounts went up or down, why revenue expenses were up or down in the different funds and for the village as a whole. I'm going to go over a few different of the financial statement, the schedules right now, really at a high level to kind of give you an idea of what's presented in the schedule. And then I would refer you back to the management discussion and analysis if you were interested in knowing why balances were up or down compared to the prior year. So on page 20, we're going to skip over the management's discussion and analysis. This is the statement of net position. This is probably the one time during the year where you see all of the assets and liabilities of the village in one spot, in two different columns for governmental activities and business type activities. We also include the library, which we do not audit, but is a component unit of the village. So this has, like I said, this has all capital assets and long-term debt. So it has your bonds and loans payable and your net pension liabilities. The end result is net position. On page 22, this is the statement of activities. So this is your income statement for the village as a whole. Net position for governmental activities decreased by 2.1 million and increased by 1.4 million business type activities. On page 23, this is the fund financial statements. So whereas the last schedule was a long-term perspective, this is more of a short-term perspective. Receivables are offset by a deferred inflow of resource if the revenue isn't collected within a quick enough time after year end, and liabilities are only presented if they're due and payable at fiscal year end. So again, a short-term perspective. On page 24, this is the reconciliation between the long-term perspective on the front schedules and then the short-term schedules. So you can see the different balances that impact those, the capital asset balances and the long-term liability balances, if you're interested in knowing what the differences are in the perspective. Page 25, this is fund balances across the governmental funds for the income statement. See that across all of the funds, fund balance decreased by just under $500,000. Page 26, this is a similar reconciliation for the income statement. So you can see how depreciation expense or purchase of capital assets, payment of long-term debt, how this impacts your fund balance compared to your long-term net position. Starting on page 27 is the information for your proprietary funds. So your water and sewer fund in one column and your non-major commuter parking fund in another. This is also a long-term perspective, as proprietary funds are always reported on that basis. So the total column here would agree to the front schedule statement of net position that we looked at before. Page 32. This is the balance sheet for the pension trust funds. So your police and fire pension combined into one column. The two pensions combined had a net position at December 31st of $174.8 million. On page 33, this is the income statement for the fiduciary funds, and net position increased by $12.2 million during the due to strong investment returns that were realized for the fiscal year. Following the fiduciary funds income statement begins the notes to the financial statements. I won't go over any of this, just to tell you that all of the balances that are in the front schedules and the changes in a lot of those balances, there's a lot of good detail in the notes to the financial statement. You can see how long-term debt increased or decreased due to payments, a lot of information on the net pension liability, cash and investments, and so forth. Following the notes, if you're interested in budget to actual results for the various funds, you can find that there. You can also see some of the non-major combining funds compared together. And then moving later on in the report is the statistical information, the 10-year trend information. See how net position increased or decreased over time and fund balances as well. With that, unless there was any questions on the financial statements, I was going to move on to the non-financial highlights for the audit.
I do have one question.
Please.
So you mentioned that you do review the library's funding, but there is no audit on it. Could you explain why that wouldn't be?
Well, we don't audit the library. There's other auditors that audit the library. We get their audited financial statements and we bring it into the village's financial statements. So they do have an audit. It's just not performed by us.
Okay. But it's presented with the village because there's a lot of residents don't understand that the library is a separate taxing body, but it still comes before the village, correct?
Due to the nature of the control that the village board has over the library, even though there's a separate levy and that still accounting standards require it to be reported due to the closeness of the relationship.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Please move forward.
Okay. So the reporting and insights, the audit presentation is a smaller document, and this really satisfies auditing standards. So reporting requirements from us based on the audit. This letter addresses our responsibilities, management's responsibilities. If it kind of discusses our audit plan, if there were any changes to our audit plan, our audit areas of focus. Talks about new accounting standards that were adopted and accounting standards that will be issued. Our thoughts on any significant risks of material misstatement, and so forth. Those are kind of the required areas. This letter, as you look at it, would be very much boilerplate. When we prepared our audit, when we went through our procedures, there was nothing of unusual concern or disagreements or anything negative, I would say, to report to the board. One of the things we look at internal controls around the financial statements to plan the nature, timing, and extent of our audit procedures. Not necessarily to provide you an opinion on internal controls, but if there was anything that came to our attention that we felt should be communicated to the board, it would be included in this letter. We're happy, again, to present that there are no recommendations that we felt were important enough for the board to be presented with. There were other recommendations of a minor degree that we provided to the finance office and to the village manager, so things that, to tighten up certain areas, but the finance department, even with the limited number of staff, they do a job of compensating for any gaps in the small number of employees in that department. The kind of to leave you with, on page 2 is my contact information, my email and my phone number, should you have any questions after this presentation or throughout the year. The last 3 pages of this report kind of looks towards next year. So if you see anything in that letter, in that part of the letter, that piques your interest and you want to talk about it at any point, feel free to give me a call. We ultimately work for the board, even though we work with management to prepare the audit. I guess with that, I would open it up to any questions on that report.
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions from the board?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Thank you again. Village is in good shape. Okay, we're doing as open job as we can. All right, move on to 6, approval of regular meeting minutes, number 2021-18, dated October 12th, 2021. A motion, please?
A motion.
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Desmond?
Yes.
Trustee Sack?
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke?
Yes.
Trustee Mallow?
Yes.
Trustee Stalker?
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you. New business by village trustees. I'll start in District 1. Trustee Desmond?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want a quick mention about property maintenance issues. And the main thing is, which we are all having a problem with and all over the country really, is the issue with rats. And our village manager, he started a task force to address this issue on August 9th. So since August 9th, 460 inspections have been conducted, 488 citations issued. Of these, 153 were concerning rodents. And as usual, the main issues have with rats being providing a food source. You will not have rats if they have nothing to eat. They've gone out, done inspections, have found bird feeders, bird food on the ground, dog droppings, clutter, debris up against houses, providing shelter for rodents. So until people can address these issues and get on top of this and realize that this is what's attracting rats, we are always going to have this problem. So I hope it's going to take everybody to address this. So hopefully people can get serious about this and we can, do whatever we can to prevent this getting any worse. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. District 2, Trustee Oliniechek.
Yeah, I just want to give a recap of the Public Works Committee meeting. And we had it on October 14th, and I'm going to go fast forward to one of the topics that we discussed with staff was rodent abatement. And on top of residential, full court press and making sure that your garbage cans are secured, that you're cleaning up after your pests, there's no ground feeding. There's been suggestions, and we are putting together ordinances to address asking our retail partners, our restaurant partners, and multifamily along with rental properties, because as staff has done, and our task force has done a great job of getting to the root cause and looking at how we can get in front of this and ultimately solve it. But on our next agenda, we should have our ordinances that will address rodent abatement and the types of rodent abatement that we would expect our retail community, our restaurant community, multifamily, and rental properties to be adhering to. So this is a problem that the whole board hears about. We understand it. It's in every district, and we're doing everything we can to get in front of the problem to address it. Then on the street program, our 2021 street program is on track to finish unless we get any more rain. We are scheduled to finish by the end of October this year, which we're really happy with. And then we have a 2022 very aggressive street program. We actually went out and spent some money on some engineering to do samples of our streets that are rated in repairs and needs of repairs. And we found out that based off of the advice of our staff, that we are going to be able to use a hot in place pavement scope and redoing of our streets for the next year. What that means is instead of having to go all the way down and redo the whole street, we are going to be able to get more streets done next year with less money and getting the same, if not better, job done. So we're really impressed with what staff put together and the recommendations to move forward with this. Other big issue that we talked about was water storage, and water flow. And I don't know about anybody else in this room here, but yesterday, Sunday, going into Monday and seeing the amount of rain that this village took in, I will tell you that I was concerned, but I was happy to see that all of the work that we have done with our sanitary lines and with our flow going down Stony Creek and the work that MWRD has worked with us on actually did help us with flow level. There was one point in which we got a report that our complete system was full, but thank God that the water stopped and the creek system was able to catch up and remove the water going downstream, so we avoided any major flooding. I will tell you that that is still something that we are working with our local representatives from the state to MWRD, to the Army Corps of Engineers, and to our federal. We have some very progressive plans and programs put together that we are going to be talking with our Congresswoman coming up. We're trying to get a date. Has that date been set yet?
No, it has not.
Yeah. But we feel that what we're seeing from the national level, there's going to be federal funding available for what they call shovel-ready projects. And we have a minimum of 3 to 5 shovel-ready projects that will help us to continue to address the water issue that we have in the village. I can tell you that through the work of the other trustees here and working with the Park District and School District 218, I know that Trustee Sock and Trustee Stalker, along with staff here, has had some really good meetings to be able to get us some and some plans moving forward. So we're looking forward to more information on that. Other than that, that concludes my report. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Halloween.
Thank you, Trustee. Third District, Trustee Mello.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to echo Trustee Oliniechek's response as far as the streets. It's just an amazing program that they put together. We look forward to that being able to be something in the future that we can take care of streets much, much better at a cheaper cost than we've ever done before. I'd like to give you an update on the push tax that the Village Oak Lawn moved through. A little bit of a timeline. Myself, Trustee Phelan at the time, we completed a comprehensive analysis of the gaming back in May of 2019. We put an ordinance together to get the village a higher share of the gaming that's out there. On October 19th, this village imposed a 1 cent push tax on every push of the gaming. The terminal operators decided to, about 99% of the terminal operators decided to sue us, where a small percent went ahead and filled out the proper paperwork to get that taken care of. Oak Lawn, Waukegan are the only two towns that pushed back, decided to fight this attempt by the terminal operators to basically push us under the rug. So at this point in time, the terminal operators have come back, suggesting that the municipal share, which is currently 5%, would raise to 6%. But we are recommending more of a 10% increase to the municipalities. So hopefully that comes through and we can see that going forward. This is something that's been a problem for a long time, where the municipalities do not get what they deserve as far as the gaming, and it's always been very, very small. So hopefully we see that very, very soon. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Mallon. Just to piggyback on that, I have been in contact with not only our Illinois Municipal League, but our local state representatives discussing the reasons that the village should pick up a little bit more of that issue, that tax, and they seem to be very supportive, but the battle hasn't been won. We're still continuing on with it. Thank you. Trustee 4, Trustee Pembroke.
No new business at this time, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee 5, Bud Stalker.
Now that the push tax has been brought up, I just wanted to put something in perspective. The state of Illinois and the terminal operators each get 35% approximately of the total income from the revenue in the machines, whereas we have 5. We're the ones that provide the social services that are necessary when there's problems with people who gamble too much, and we provide the police service for the community, and it's just a shame that we're not funded better than we are. So bringing up this either the push tax or increasing the village percentage is certainly reasonable in my mind, and I believe that we will be successful. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Stalker. District 6, Trustee Stack.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just an update on the flood mitigation and stormwater issues we're having. Tuesday, October 21st, the mayor, our village manager, Director Seebeck, and myself met with District 218 Facilities Committee to discuss the proposal of using that facility for flood water retention. It was met positively, and then 2 days later, myself, Director Seebeck, and Rich from MWRD presented to the District 218 board that night, and they voted and approved taking of core samples of that facility to see if it's viable. If it is, this would be a major step forward in getting resolution on some of this flooding in Oak Lawn, especially District 6. At that point, when these core samples do come back, we're going to present them with drawings of what the facility would look like after, the retention would be put in. So we're making really positive progress in that area. Just wanted to mention again, Sunday, November 7th in District 6, St. Catherine's Men's Club is hosting a blood drive from 8:30 to 12 at Kane Hall. And then Starbucks, we've talked about this a couple meetings ago on 103rd and Cicero. We're still waiting for formal redesign plans on their new construction, so that's still in the works. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Trustee Stark. Moving on to number 7, new business by the village manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to tail on to 3 issues that have been spoken about already. The push tax issue, if anybody's been following along, it's sort of opaque. If you don't gamble yourself at these machines, you hear percentages, and they don't really make a lot of sense relative to other things. But when we first looked at this in 2019, there's 3 components locally. There's the business owner, the terminal operator who owns the machine, and then the rest gets split between the state, the municipality. And we looked at the largest terminal operator, the largest company that owns the machines, who have multiple customers in Oak Lawn, restaurants, bars. And that one business alone at that time, we looked back, had made $10 million in Oak Lawn and was going to make another $2.5 million in 2019 and had paid $7,000 fees since the beginning. Not every year, since 2012. $12 million, $7,000. That particular entity is the one who is leading the fight because they're the largest player in the game. So sometimes it's important to understand what we're talking about here. The other one that's important is the penny per push. What does that mean? Just what it says. Every time someone pushes a bet, they pay a penny. And there's been varying studies, and again, if you trust everything on the internet, I'm not recommending you do, but there's been reports where the average push, the average time a person plays a bet, it's about $10. So, and the average number of pushes at any given situation where they sit down and get back up and their finish is 200. So 10 times 200 is $2,000. Someone's betting $2,000. All we're asking is, would that person be okay with paying $2 of their $2,000 in bet? The people suing us are saying that's outrageous. How could you expect someone to pay $2 who just sat there and bet $2,000? I mean, it's important to understand the story here, and I think, thankfully, most of our representatives are. But the problem is the lobbying and the money behind this is so strong. This is a public company who's leading this fight against us. And as Trustee Mello pointed out, they first attempted to say it's impossible to track how many times somebody pushes, which we knew was false. These are computers. And then their argument fell apart when several of what I call the more reputable business in town who are not pushing back and joining the fight came in and paid their tax. So I think we're in good stead. Waukegan joined the fight with us. Unfortunately, no other communities to date have. Waukegan won a court battle up in their county, which the court up there declared it a constitutional thing that we can do as a home rule community. So we're cautiously optimistic. But again, the fight is being brought back. The fact that the gaming industry is now saying they were okay with another percent. As I think the mayor, Trustee Mello, said, in order for us to get that 1 penny per push equivalent, we would need like 10%, right? So I just want to give some context to all the numbers that fly around here so that people understand what we're talking about. We're not being greedy. As the mayor and others have said, we are the ones that provide the police, the public works, the fire, responding to calls, problems that originate at restaurants and bars. The state's taking 3 times the amount of share, I'm sorry, more than that even. No, I think 3 times the amount we are. So it's a fairness issue. I just wanted to provide some context. The other thing that has been talked about frequently is rats. And somebody recently said, a rat expert, like, rats are not monsters, even though they're repulsive. Right? They're with us all the time. It's not as if they just came into Oak Lawn or the city of Chicago last week was voted the most rat-infested city in the country. And I think for more than 1 year. It's a widespread problem, and the source is, as Trustee Desmond said, generally the same. It's a food source, and if we can eliminate their food source, we are going to really tackle this problem appropriately. Trustee Stalker hosted a meeting with our pest control expert who pointed out 2 major factors. A warm winter, our last winter, coupled with the COVID pandemic, which a lot of restaurants were closed for several months and then limited their dining service, delivery only. So the usual place for rats to go, the dumpsters outside restaurants, many of those food sources disappeared. So rats being rats, they found other sources, they came into the neighborhoods, and we are attacking it. Sometimes you hear things or read things that the village isn't doing anything about it. We are. We can and do bait public properties. We can't come onto your property. We can't come into your yard. Legally can't. Same way we can't come in and cut your grass. There is a responsibility that all of us have. And what we're doing is up to that property line where public alleys or green strips, we are aggressively baiting those and attacking the problem. So if we all kind of pitch in, I think we're going to abate this problem to the best of our abilities. Trustee Sock referenced the meeting with High School District 218. and they own a significant property, 109th and Kenton. And MWRD did a study of various properties in the village of Oak Lawn and identified that as the #1 bang for your buck property, where we can spend what will amount to be millions of dollars like other areas, but the biggest bang for your buck, meaning we'll get the most retention per dollar spent. And as Trustee Sock referenced, the school board is open to the idea, and we are moving to the first step, which is taking the boring samples. There's already rumors out there that they're going to lose 20% of the field. In every discussion we've had with MWRD, there will be minimal, if any, loss of field. And I won't go into the technical aspects of this, but in addition to that, the high school district will get full, brand-new facilities at no cost to the school district. It's important to keep that in mind. We've been working with MWRD for probably 15 years on this, multiple different angles, the Archdiocese property in the cemetery, which turned out to be a dead end. And we finally have a breakthrough. We finally have some funding. The village is going to commit millions of dollars to this problem. So if you hear things like that, understand that the fact of the matter is it's going to be minimal loss of actual field usage and brand-new facility for people who use it for sports. And then finally, referencing the Starbucks issue, it has been an ongoing problem going on 3 years. If you're not familiar with it, you haven't heard the meetings before, the intersection 103rd and Cicero has become what and I'm not being dramatic, I see it almost every day, a potential death trap where the line to get into the Starbucks is so long that it backs up to 103rd and even around Cicero. And people coming from the west on 103rd Street do not react in time. The car in front of them will see it and move at the last minute. The car behind will come screeching into the intersection. It's going to be made worse when the winter comes. We've had multiple meetings and discussions with Starbucks. By the way, one of the most successful companies in America, if not the world, has the resources to do something about it. Finally committed to do something about it, but again, we're growing a little frustrated by the lack of progress, and we're staying on that. And so those are the 4 main points I wanted to add context to. And again, understand, as the mayor said, that the village is working hard to address not only those issues, but every issue that we encounter in the village. That's all I have this morning.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. We move on to number 9, the consent agenda. All the items on the consent agenda are routine and have been brought forward at the direction of the Board of Trustees, village manager, or village committees, and all of them will be enacted with one motion. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. A, Ordinance 21-1982, an ordinance authorizing the sale of 3 surplus vehicles and other personal property that have reached their useful lifespan. B is a request to authorize the fiscal year 2022 agreement between the Oak Lawn Police Department and the Drug Enforcement Agency, the DEA, Chicago Strike Force. And C is the ordinance that authorizes that 21-1983. D is a request of the Board of Trustees to approve the Zoning and Planning Commission, a 4-0 vote, for a special use permit for storage for towed vehicles in R3 district at 4560 Rumsey Avenue. Howard Walsh is the petitioner, and E is the ordinance 21-1984 authorizing that. F is a request for the Board of Trustees approval of the Zoning and Planning Commission recommendation 4-0 for the impervious surface variation at 5417 West 99th Place. Michael Witt is the petitioner. And G is the ordinance 21-1985 approving that. H is a request of the Board of Trustees approval of Zoning and Planning Commission recommendations 3-1 for a special use permit and apartment size variations for 1 apartment in a C2 district of 9611 Southwest Highway. And I is an ordinance approving that. J is ordinance 21-1987, an ordinance amending certain provisions of Title II of the Oak Lawn Village Code, dissolving the Architectural Review and Preservation Committee, and amending as well certain provisions of Title IV of the Oaklawn Village Code, Townhouse Residential District. K is ordinance 21-1918, an ordinance amending section 2-2-3 of Title II, Chapter 2, entitlement, membership appointments, terms of office of the Appeals and Review Board. I, Resolution 21-1958, a resolution appointing members to the Appeals and Review, Arts and Events, Liquor Licensing and Review, Police and Fire, Traffic Safety, Zoning and Planning Committees, and reaffirmation of the 2019 appointments within the Village of Oaklawn. M is Resolution 21-19-59, a resolution approving an economic incentive agreement at 9633 South Cicero Avenue, Oaklawn, Illinois. N is a resolution 21-19-60, consenting to a Cook County Class 7B real estate tax assessment classification for the property located at 9633 Cicero Avenue, Oaklawn, Illinois. O is a resolution 21-19-61, a resolution authorizing the release of certain executive session minutes. And P is the appointment of Jerry Dillon to the Police Pension Board. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I would like to remove items H, I, and J.
Okay. Any other? I would like to remove P, the appointment of Jerry Dillon to the Police Pension Board. There was some confusion here. Our current member of the board, Mr. Hannigan, will remain and fulfill his term. Is there a motion to approve everything except for H, I, and J? And P.
I'll make that motion.
We already had that. We already got to call the roll. We already had
Oh, call roll call.
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
Yes.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Motion's passed. H is a request Board of Trustees approval of the Zoning and Planning Commission's recommendation 3-1 for special use permit and apartment size variations for one apartment in C2 District, 9611 Southwest Highway. Ali Matari is the petitioner.
I'd like to make the motion to deny.
I'll second it.
We have a motion deny and a second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
No.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. I, ordinance 21-1986, an ordinance granting a special use permit for a first floor, 2-bedroom apartment in a C2 commercial district with an apartment size variance located at 9611 Southwest Highway, Oaklawn, Illinois.
I'd also like to make the motion to deny.
A second.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
No.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Motion passes. J is an ordinance 21-1987, an ordinance amending certain provisions of Title II of the Oaklawn Village Code, dissolving the Architectural Review and Preservation Committee, and amending as well certain provisions of Title IV of the Oaklawn Village Code, Townhome Residence Districts.
A motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that? Trustee Pembroke seconded. Discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like some clarification on the second part of that. What provisions of Title IV in the Townhome Residence District?
Yeah, I'll address it. Generally speaking, that's the wording in our current code. Is that correct?
Correct.
So it's just written as the current code. And if, for more context, going back to 2019, Trustees Oliniechek and Mallow and I did a comprehensive analysis of our then committees, updated the code book, made some consolidations. This is a further effort of that. The staff has recommended this primarily because most of the matters are very routine. They're 5 or 10-minute meetings. The votes are generally 7-0. I think Trustee Mallow looked at how many of them are 7-0. And it costs roughly $10,000 a year between the stipends and the pay and the staff that have to attend these meetings. So it's an economic issue. It's an efficiency issue. The duties of that committee will be rolled into the Zoning and Planning Committee, and staff will assume some of the more general and easy decisions like signs. The architectural review would almost meet every time a sign request came in, regardless of whether it was out of bounds or something beyond our ordinance. So this is an efficiency issue and a money-saving issue. And again, for those that enjoy serving on that board, we're attempting to find spaces for them on other committees.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Roll call, please.
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
Yes.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Motion passes. And P, the appointment of Jerry Dillon to the Police Pension Board. My
Motion
attorney advises we don't need a vote on that.
Well, yeah, you need to either a motion to deny, I guess, because we're not tabling it, right?
Okay. Is there a motion to deny?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
Yes.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
No.
Motion approved. The village clerk's report.
We have the approval of disbursement resolution number 2021-19D dated October 26, 2021, in the amount of $1,757,561.55.
Motion to pay the bills? I motion to pay the bills. Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
Yes.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Motion passes. General village matters, Madam Clerk?
No new
I have
business.
none. Okay, we'll move on to 11. Village President's Report. A is a request to approve a liquor and tobacco licensing review board recommendation 4-1 for a Class E license for Global Liquor at 5711 and 13 West 95th Street. And B is the ordinance approving and increasing the number of Class E liquor licenses that can be issued. Is there a motion?
Motion approved.
A second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Trustee Desmond.
Oh, yeah, discussion?
Yeah. Yeah, just like, to make one comment here. I've lived in Oak Lawn for over 30 years, 8 of those as a trustee. Yet in all that time, I've never had anyone come to me and say, we need more liquor stores in Oak Lawn. People have said we need more restaurants, we need a coffee shop, maybe a small theatre, but never once has anyone asked for more liquor stores. It is not something the residents look for. It is no benefit to Oak Lawn to have another liquor store. I think we have 17 already that sell liquor. I'm just giving my opinion on it. Will be voting against this.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Desmond.
No.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
Yes.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
No.
Motion passes.
4-2.
4-2. C is a request to approve the Liquor and Tobacco Licensing Review Board recommendation 5-0 for a Class FV liquor license at 4740 West 111th Street. Triumph Ed Incorporated, doing business as Brown's Chicken and Pasta Petitioner. And D is ordinance 21-1990, an ordinance increasing the number of Class FV liquor licenses that can be issued in the Village of Oak Lawn. A motion, please.
Motion to approve?
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
Yes.
Trustee Stalker.
Yes.
Trustee Oliniechek.
Yes.
Motion passes. General village matters, Mayor. I just want to congratulate the Illinois State Police as they celebrate their 1 century of being the state police. And I certainly am very happy, Mr. Witt, that we passed your ordinance to allow you to construct an addition on your house for your son, who has given quite a bit to this state as a policeman. And their anniversary, I think, is in April of next year, but they are beginning celebrating events throughout the state. So watch their website for events that celebrate the 100 years of the state police. And tomorrow, I want to thank the people that put together honor flights. Honor flights are flights that go out of Midway to Washington, D.C. for veterans, okay, who have served this country in combat situations. Started out with World War II, went to Korean War, and now they're on to the Vietnam veterans. They fly you to Washington, D.C., all escorted. The whole plane is nothing but veterans. They give you a tour of all the memorials. They feed you. They put you back on the airplane, and they bring you home to celebrate, okay, your service to this country. And I'm honored to be flying out tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. I'm not real happy about the time. But I just want to thank all the men and women who volunteer and donate their money to make this possible. And thank you once again. That finishes mine. We'll move on to 12, executive session 2021-14 for the purpose of discussing 1, approval of closed meeting minutes 2021-13 dated October 12th, 2021, and 2, a pending litigation, and 3, setting a price for the sale or lease of property owned by the village. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Roll call.
Trustee Desmond.
Yes.
Trustee Sack.
Yes.
Trustee Pembroke.
Yes.
Trustee Mallow.
Motion
Yes.
approved. I want to thank everybody for coming. Closed sessions.
Yes.
Just a matter of the board. Thank you.